Hey, so this is the Nothing Phone 2a, and yes, I know this video is a little bit late, but I've actually had the phone since pre-MWC, which was about 2 months ago, maybe closer to 3 now, and since then, this phone's gotten several updates, at least once every 2 to 3 weeks, so this is my review of the Nothing Phone 2a after the updates. Now, just like any other reviews on this channel, let's quickly talk about its specs. The Nothing Phone 2a I'm reviewing has 12 gigs of RAM and 256 gigs of storage, which is the top tier spec for this phone, but it's also available with 8 gigs of RAM with 128 gigs of storage. The processor inside is kind of unique. It's the MediaTek Dimensity 7200 Pro. Now, yeah, I know this is not the fastest nor the newest chip out there, but apparently Nothing and MediaTek really worked together to design this chip for this phone, so that means hardware and software is pretty optimized on this thing. Besides that, this also packs a massive 5,000 milliamp hour battery, so it's pretty much on par with some of the flagships that came out in 2024, and you can fast charge up to 45 watts wired. Now, in terms of its display, it has a 6.7-inch Full HD Plus display that features an adaptive 30 to 120 Hz refresh rate that has a peak brightness of 1300 nits and 1100 nits outdoors. It is an AMOLED display, so colors look vibrant, looks contrasty, and it's not a bad screen for a phone at this price at all. Now, in terms of its design, I think it's cool. I wouldn't say the black color is the best color from this line. I think the milk colorway looks to be the best, but that's not available in every country as far as I'm aware. I just think the lighter shade of the Phone 2a is better, but let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Now, going back to its design though, I really do love the eyes or the camera placement on here in the middle. It's got this split-like design where it has this symmetrical imbalance where the lower part you see more of the flexible printed circuits that's basically connects the motherboard to things like the battery, the display, the SIM, and the USB-C port. And then the top half houses the glyph lighting, the cameras, and the NFC coil. I think this design looks to be the best out of the 3 phones, but again, I do think the white or milk color looks to be the best because you can see more of the transparent design on here. The black one, not so much. Now, before we talk about performance and battery, I just wanted to highlight what some of the biggest changes are in the last few software updates since I've gotten this phone. Since I've had the phone, I've actually received a total of 4 updates, and probably the most notable ones are these. Improvements in camera clarity and processing. Colors in both the main and ultra-wide cameras should now be much improved and looks more consistent. And also, the overall camera performance should be much snappier. Other big improvements are, optimizing the fingerprint reader. It's much snappier than before. The Wi-Fi and Bluetooth inconsistencies should be fixed now. And the overall smoothness and gaming performance on this phone has gotten better with less stutters or less frame drops. Now, when it comes to performance and battery, I think we actually have to take a step back and know that this isn't a flagship phone. This isn't going to compete with the S24s or the iPhone 15s, but this is more of a premium mid-range device, and what you get with that is the MediaTek Dimensity 7200 Pro and 12 gigs of RAM. So after all the updates that I've gotten on this phone, this honestly feels just as fast as the Phone 2. The only thing I will say is that sometimes things are just a little bit slower to process. Things like processing photos after each shot would take a few seconds instead of, happening right away. Performance or, higher fidelity games like Warzone Mobile or Genshin Impact, for example, won't be able to run at a constant 60 frames per second for more than an hour, or you can't run certain games at higher settings. But what I will say though is that the overall performance and software experience is just as good as flagships that cost 4 times the price. And I think we do have to applaud Nothing here since they did a really good job optimizing this chip with their OS, and I can't knock them on that. It performs way better than the usual affordable Android devices and sometimes even perform just as good as flagships from years ago. So if you're a little worried that it's running a MediaTek chip, don't be. It's been a really great experience these past few months. And then when it comes to battery life, it's been really promising. I've been able to average about 7 hours of screen on time here, sometimes more, and what's even better is that I actually left the phone untouched for a few days since I'm testing like 2 or 3 other phones. it'll actually still have battery left from when I last touched it. It's kind of insane, but yeah, depending on what you do on your phone, expect 7 hours on a daily basis, and you can definitely push this to 10 hours if you're really conservative about battery. All right, now let's talk cameras. Now, I just gotta give props yet again to Nothing for not including a silly 2-megapixel macro sensor on here just, for them to say it's a triple camera setup. Instead, we have a 50-megapixel main wide camera and a 50-megapixel ultra wide camera on a $350 phone. Now, I've been shooting on this phone for weeks before it was announced in Barcelona, and while I agree, after the updates, shots have gotten dramatically better, I still think it's just okay. I think there's still some work to be done when it comes to white balance and HDR processing. Sometimes shots are looking a little too bright, or highlights are just peaking, or sometimes the processing is just way off and things are looking a little too sharp or too saturated. I'm not sure if it's the ISP in the MediaTek chip that's causing all of this, but I think a little more fine-tuning and software will do the trick. Besides that though, I think the cameras are pretty good for a $350 smartphone. You or I should not be expecting pixel quality photos out of this phone, but yeah, I think it's good, but not the best I've seen. And then when it comes to videos, it's pretty meh in my opinion. I think Nothing could work on its video processing just a little bit more, and not just on this phone. I believe I said the same thing for the phone too. It's a little too sharp and needs work on its HDR. And so to wrap up this video for you guys, is the Nothing Phone 2a worth it? Honestly, it's the best $350 smartphone that you can buy. Not just because it has decent hardware and pretty awesome software updates, but the design is the best that you'll see at this price range. Now, sure, you can pick up the Pixel 7a or a refurbished Pixel 8 online for roughly around the same price, but if you're looking at something new and you want something a bit refreshing, I think the Phone 2a as a whole, it's a more complete package and one that looks good too. Anyways, that's been it for this video. If you guys did enjoy this and want me to compare the Phone 2a to the upcoming Pixel 8a, let me know in the comments down below. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on more videos like this, and yeah, I'll see you all in the next one.